All right, good people. Hope you guys are having a lovely day. Let's tackle this June 2026 paper 2 for grade 10s. All right, so the question is as this: PRQ are the vertices of a triangle in a Cartesian plane, and PR is equals to what? Is equals to PQ. All right, the first question here says determine the coordinates. So we're looking for coordinates, all right, of E. We don't see E on the Cartesian plane, but E is the midpoint of what? Of PR. So that is the point that is somewhere there, our point of E. Now let's look for the coordinates. Remember, when you're looking for the coordinates, you're looking for the X and Y values. All right, now we go to 1.1. What clue did they give us? They told us, let's just highlight the clue that they gave us here. They told us that E is the midpoint of PR, and we see that we have coordinates of P and R. All right, then from there, it's just a matter of what? Writing down your midpoint formula, which is going to be M is equals to X1 plus X2 all over 2, and then Y1 plus Y2 all over 2. All right, then it's just a matter of, I like assigning my X1 and X2. So I will choose this as X1, Y1, X2, Y2. All right. Then when I come here, things become easy for me. I don't know why this is 4 marks, but yeah. And then we have X1, which is going to be -1 plus X2, which is going to be 3 all over 2. And then the other coordinate is Y1, which is equals to 2 plus Y2, which is 0 all over 2. All right. So you can just punch this into your calculator, or you can just use your head, but you're going to find 1 and 1. All right. Please don't be a genius. Use your calculator just to make sure of your answers. When you're under the pressure of the exam, things just get crazy. Now we found our midpoint of PR, which is midpoint of PR, which also gives us the coordinates of E, which is 1 and 1. All right. Now, so it means that this point E is going to be 1 and 1. All right. Then 1.2, it says let's highlight. All right, when we highlight this, it says show that A is equals to what? A is equals to -2. Where is A? A is the coordinate of Q. Then they also give you guys a clue, guys. They said if the midpoint of QR is, all right, they now tell you about a certain midpoint, okay? So every time you hear of something like this, all right, it means somehow you have to use the midpoint formula because they gave you the midpoint of QR. You realize that we now our focus before at 1.1 was at was at PR. Now our focus at 1.2 is actually what? QR, because they gave us the what? They gave us they gave us the midpoint. So we have the midpoint of PR. What does that mean? It means somewhere here, all right? Somewhere here, which is in the middle of this line, right? We have coordinates of 0 and what? And -1. Then how then do we? I'm gonna do this in a very simple way. Right. So firstly, let's write the midpoint formula, which is going to be what? X1 plus X2 all over 2, and then we have Y1 plus Y2. I think I have right. And then now, what did they give us? They gave us the midpoint. So you can rather remember, when they give you the midpoint, a midpoint is a coordinate that has an X value and a Y value. So the X coordinate of what? The X coordinate is what? Is 0. So 0 is equals to X1 plus X2 all over 2. And then the Y coordinate is -1 is equals to Y1 plus Y2 all over 2. Right? And then let's sub our X coordinates. Let's just do it. All right, we're going to realize our X coordinates here. X1, between these two, this is going to be X1, Y1. This is still going to be X2, Y2 on the line QR. And then X1 is going to be -3. We have an X2, which is going to be 3 over 2. So you realize that here, this just gives us 0, all right? And remember, we're solving for A. Now let's do the other side. It's -1 is equals to Y1 is what is A. Y2 is 0 all over 2. So you realize to best solve for A, we rather can use the Y side, okay? This will not give us anything. So we focus on this side. So this is just going to cross multiply A plus 0. That's going to give us A. 2 times -1 gives us what? A -2. Therefore, we prove that A is equals to what? -2. All right, let's continue. Let me erase for space here. Now we prove that a is equals to -2. Then the last question is quite an easy one, and I want to use a different color for this. Let me use green. Now let's do 1.3. 1.3 determine, it says what? Where's my cursor? All right, determine the gradient. Easy. Find now the gradient formula, which is going to be what? The gradient of what? Of EQ is the same is what? Y. Is it y2? Right? It has to be like y2. Yes, it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right, and then we're talking about of EQ. We already found the coordinates of E. All right, we already found the coordinates of E, which is 1 and 1. And then now the coordinates that we are looking for, we're looking for the gradient. Then E, so this can be x1, y1. This now becomes x2. And then we come here, what is y2? Y2 is going to be, we found that value to be what? -2. Even though they didn't give it to you, they also, at 1.2, they made it so much easier for you where they said, now what? Show that a is equal to -2. So when you just come on this side here, our y2 now is going to be what? It's going to be negative what? -2 minus y1, which is 1. And then x2, what is x2? It's going to be -3 minus 1, okay? And then when you do this, this gives you this is going to be -3 over -4, which is going to give you what? 3 over 4. And then you got your what? Your gradient. So guys, let's meet on the next question as we tackle question 2.